Hello and glory to all Man United fans. Welcome back to a fresh new episode of Knock Off the Perch, a Manchester United podcast. We come back on a Southampton nearby victory, and for majority of the game didn't look like we were going to win against the bottom placed club, but yeah, such was the case that a certain Amad came to the rescue. Brilliant game. We'll be also be talking about the next game, which is against Brighton and Hove Albion. We'll be also be touching upon why are Manchester United so consistently inconsistent in the past few years now to say. How have you been, Aruj? How was the game last time?
Doing well. The game for 80 minutes or so, it was absolute snooze fest. And when you're watching it at like 1:30 to 3:30 India time, sometimes becomes really hard to stay awake. And I was cursing myself for 80 odd minutes as to why I'm staying up for this game. But yeah, Amad came to the rescue. I think it was just his resilience, perseverance, tenacity, whatever you might want to call it. He kept going at it. He looked as the only outlet who could grab us a goal, and he kept trying. And I would say for the equalizer, we were slightly lucky. I think the ball got blocked, but then still fell into Ahmad's foot. He did well to finish that. And I think then I had a little bit of a belief that, now we should be able to grab the win in the next 2 minutes or so. And the cherry on top was Ahmad's hat trick.
I mean, throughout the game, I felt there was a goal in us, but I also knew that it isn't going to come easy. And you call it a snooze fest, but Southampton really did a job on us, man. I mean,
Yeah,
in the midfield, they did a job on us. On the wings, they did a job on us. My problem in the whole game was how we were set up. If we are going to play a 3-4-3, if we are going to play a 3-4-2-1, the idea behind attacking so-called lesser teams
yeah,
is to attack via the wing backs. Our wing backs were thrusted back in our own half. We were playing virtually a back five throughout the time. I mean, we kept talking about starting Ahmad at the wing back position.
yeah.
This was a game in which Ahmad did start at the wing back position. Didn't give the results which we thought it would, right? Also, the back line, we when at the starting of the season, we discussed maybe the best backline of United would be a Euro Dillet and Martinez. We played with that backline this time, but it didn't turn out to be that great. I mean, eh, in specifically, Euro was found out quite a lot of times.
Yeah. No, so I think there was attempt to try with just three at the back and Ahmad sort of pushing forward. But the way Sulemana was playing, Sulemana is his name, right? The left winger for Southampton. He totally did a number on Euro multiple times. I mean, Euro was found out so many times for speed. I mean, when he was coming in, we thought that Euro is that speedy centre back who will be able to make quick recovery runs. But I think initially what was happening is that he was pretty much in that right back sort of a position. Uh, with Sulemana coming one on one at him, and he was unable to do anything. So I think which is when Ahmad was pushed a little back, especially towards the end of first half and start of second half, when he had to provide that support to Euro at that point in time. So that obviously became a trouble. But on the other side of the wing as well, Mazraoui didn't look very attacking. He seemed like somebody who was not very comfortable at the left back spot, left wing back spot. I don't know whether it is having not played many games or whether it is the new setup. It definitely looked like this team needed a lot of improvement, and so was the case with midfield. What did you make of Ugarte
Mm.
Menu in this one?
Yeah, I mean, Meno again had a shocker. I still feel Ugarte had a decent game because I still saw Ugarte doing the things which Ugarte generally does. But yeah, Meno was never. I mean, Meno usually as a player, he takes a bit of like he has a sense of who's around him, and then he takes a touch on the ball, and then he provides a
Yeah,
movement of the ball usually forward. In this game, he wasn't allowed that much time. He was found out a lot of times, and I think Amorim was quite proactive in shuffling the midfield right after mid of the
half time.
game.
Yeah,
Exactly at halftime was when Menu was replaced at 46 minute. Attack was a big problem in this one because I don't think Højlund gave a good account of himself. He had very few touches in the first half and in the second half also to begin with.
yeah,
And the chances which he got, he didn't hold the ball very well, something which he usually does very well. I'd like to say it was an off day for United, but for 80 odd minutes being dominated by a team who has only 6 points till now isn't a great position to
yeah,
be in. I mean, you expect much more, especially after, couple of performances which we have seen, a couple of dogged performances which we have seen against the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal. You expected this game to be a one-sided show. It was a one-sided show, but not for us. It was a one-sided show for Southampton, who were very close to winning it. I think
yeah,
Onana kept us in the game for a very long period of time. They could have had 2 or 3 goals, but Onana did keep us in the game.
yeah,
On the flip side of things, maybe Anthony could have scored the game, made it a bit more comfortable for us, but that wasn't to be the case. Amorim's changes did flip the game,
yeah.
according to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Amorim, I think, was proactive, and we've generally seen him be proactive. From what I've learned so far, he does understand the game where we are losing out, and I think his understanding was clearly the fact that it is the midfield where we are losing out. I think he spoke about it later as well, that the opposition midfielders were very energetic and they were completely easily able to bypass Menu and Ugarte at that point in time. And which is where I think taking Menu off to bring Bruno into the midfield, where one, it has more energy, two, better progressing capabilities. So I think that made a little bit of a difference. And later when Zirkzee and Eriksson came in, I think Zirkzee for Hoyland, I think it's been 3 games in a row now when Hoyland for 60 odd minutes hasn't performed that well. And Zirkzee, after coming on, has done well to sort of almost, that Newcastle game looks much behind him now, and he seems to be giving a good account of himself. So those, I think, were the critical moments, and even the Harry Maguire substitution towards the end, right? I think it seemed like we were missing a certain proper central defender, and Harry Maguire came on. I think it was his interception which led to the second goal, if I'm wrong, eventually. So I think good substitutions from Amarim. And remember, before the game, he said, after this game I'm going to learn more about my players than I did in
Yeah.
the Liverpool and Arsenal game, and I'm sure he learned a lot about these players, because maybe Liverpool and Arsenal games were motivation enough for these guys to go and show to the world, show to everybody how good they are. But maybe a game against Southampton wasn't. But these are the games we need to win.
I mean, yeah, I mean the position in the table should be motivation enough for the team. Like it's very shameful that after 2021 games we are still 13th in the table. That's not. We keep talking about the standards of Manchester United. Already, we all the standards were falling short, and to be in the season through like most of this part of the season in this bottom half of the table doesn't sit well right by me. And I understand that a new manager has come in. It'll take time, but the performances should back, the players on the pitch. I'm not solely looking at the results right now.
Yeah.
I want to see performances as well, and I'm not seeing it in, again, calling it a lesser game feels bad because Southampton did create a lot of menace to these
Yeah, for
United
majority of the
players.
game, they were the better team, no doubt about it.
And on Xerxes, I do feel that Xerxes has been given enough game time to start with, and he hasn't shown a good account of himself. As bad as Hoyland has played in the last couple of games, I still don't feel Xerxes is a sure shot starter because
Hmm.
when once Xerxes comes into play, we are playing a midfield heavy game. We don't have an outlet, and in those games we are trying like in those games when we're creating a lot of chances, there is no one to finish. And when
Yeah, which is
there's
where you will need overlaps from players when Zirkzee is playing. So you remember that game, I think, whether was it Everton one, when we scored 4 goals. So Zirkzee was
mm,
coming in, and it was Rashford who was doing overlaps on that Zirkzee, and Rashford is a decent finisher. So he was able to come in, add strength to the midfield, and then with these overlapping runs, they were able to make space for themselves and shoot. So I think either require somebody like that, and even in the game against Southampton, Ahmad was is essentially doing those overlapping runs, right? He was
Yep.
getting into the box when Zirkzee was getting into the midfield. So yeah, I think it's with the two players you play differently, but the sad part is neither of them are playing well at this point in time. So that's a big worry.
So what do we put down this performance to? Is it just tired legs? Was it I don't think it was a tactics problem also, because I think we were set up quite well in this game. We had all the players who could win this match. Maybe it was a mentality thing.
Uh, I'm also starting to think it is a little bit about player capabilities as well. The fact that Arsenal, Liverpool, and other such teams will come at you, they will leave certain spaces behind, and at times we have been able to utilize them. But when teams are defensively set up, they have a low block in place, they don't leave a lot of space behind, which is when this team is mostly found out, and I think that becomes a problem. So which is where I was thinking whether tactically we need to do something differently, whether a 3-5-2-1 really works in that sort of a setup. Maybe it does, maybe it's just the players. But yeah, if I were to really look at it, having one can argue the fact that if you can beat Liverpool, Arsenal, you have certain capabilities. I think it then comes down to mentality of these team members.
What stood out in those two games is our performance. I still wouldn't call them victories against them. It was
Yeah.
just the fact that
No,
we
Arsenal
were
we have at least
coming
beaten on penalties. So
on penalties. I mean, on penalties, it could have gone either way, and we also know the kind of chances which Arsenal missed. We also know the kind of bad performances which Liverpool had that day. Salah and
correct.
Trent both went missing that day. Yes, we could have won the game against Liverpool with that Maguire shot. Yes, we could have very well lost the game against
Against
Arsenal
Arsenal, yeah.
in yeah. So but again, it's the performances which stood out in these two games, and those are the kind of performances we'd want to see on a much more consistent basis.